Let me tell you something, ladies. A man may walk out that door thinking he's done, thinking he's finished with you, thinking he's the prize, thinking he's the one that got away. But deep down inside, he don't know what's about to hit him, because the moment you stop chasing, the moment you get quiet, the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, that's when he starts feeling that empty space you used to fill. You see, men are funny creatures. They can sleep just fine when you're crying over them. They can party while you're wondering why he hasn't called, but the moment you shift your energy, oh, he feels it. You don't have to post quotes. You don't have to post selfies to prove you're fine. All you got to do is actually be fine, and he'll feel that in his bones, because peace screams louder than any post ever could. When you finally decide, I'm not begging, I'm not proving, I'm not performing, that's when the power swings, every time. Because nothing makes a man more curious, more uneasy, more reflective than a woman who used to care and suddenly don't. Let's be real. When a man thinks he's got you wrapped around his finger, he acts lazy, he acts confident, he thinks he can come and go like we fight. But when he wakes up one day and realizes you stopped logging in, that connection breaks and it rattles him. Because the silence that used to mean weakness now means strength. You want to know what makes him reach out first. It ain't manipulation, it ain't games, it's growth. You change the energy. You stop explaining yourself. You stop sending long paragraphs. You stop checking his story. You stop waiting for him to come to his senses. You start living like he's already a lesson you graduated from, and baby, graduation looks good on you. Let me paint this picture. You were texting, calling, showing up, doing your best. He was giving half effort, half attention, half commitment, and you were giving your whole heart. But one day, something snaps, not out of anger, but out of understanding. You realize peace is expensive, and he can't afford the new you. That's when everything changes. Because a man always circles back to peace. He'll tell himself he misses your laugh, your smile, the way you cared. But truthfully, what he misses is how safe he felt in your energy, and when you stop offering it. When you take that warmth away, he gets cold, fast. Now listen, ladies, I'm not saying go cold to hurt him. I'm saying choose quiet to heal you. Because there's a big difference between silence used as revenge and silence used as rebirth. Revenge is loud, healing is peaceful. One feeds your ego, the other feeds your soul. And that's what truly makes a man come back. Not your anger, not your tears, but your evolution. The moment you start watering yourself, instead of that relationship, you bloom. And when you bloom, every man who ever took you for granted has to look at that flower and realize he didn't even bring water. That's what eats him up inside. Not that you left, but that you leveled up. Now let's get something straight. A man can walk away from a good woman when he's blind. But life has a funny way of giving him 20/20 vision once you're gone. And that's when you start getting those, hey, stranger, texts. That's when you see his name pop up after months of silence. That's when you get that, I was just thinking about you message out of nowhere. Oh, he's thinking all right. Thinking about how he lost the version of you that used to wait around for him. Wards. But when he comes back this time, he won't find the same woman, because now you know the price of peace. Now, you know your worth now. You've learned that love doesn't mean losing yourself. You want to make a man reach out. Don't talk about moving on, move on. Don't pretend you're over it, actually get over it. Start laughing again. Start sleeping better. Start dressing for yourself. Start saying no without guilt. Start loving yourself so loudly that the old you can't even recognize you. That's when it happens. That's when that phone buzzes and you see his name. And you smile, not because you missed him, but because you realize you don't need him anymore. Ladies, that's power. That's the power of emotional independence. That's the power of peace. That's the power that makes a man look back and think, damn, I really fumbled that. And you know what? He did. But that's not your problem anymore. Let me tell you something funny. When a man leaves, he expects to be missed. He expects tears, drama, long messages. He expects you to fall apart. But when you do the opposite, when you start shining, glowing, and minding your business, it scrambles his brain because now he's the one checking your page, asking mutual friends, wondering who you're with, what you're doing. The tables turn and he can't even figure out how. And let me say this, a man doesn't come back for the woman he left. He comes back because he misses how he felt when he was with her. But if you've evolved, he'll realize he can't even reach you anymore. You're speaking peace now, not pain. You're walking in purpose now, not pity. You've leveled up spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You're not even in the same league. And that's what makes him chase, because he doesn't just want you back. He wants that feeling back. But baby, that feeling was built on your love, your efforts, your softness, things he thought were guaranteed until you took them with you. See, you never lose when you walk away with your dignity. You never lose when you keep your peace. You never lose when you stop begging to be understood and start standing to be respected. That's the shift. That's the magic. That's the do this. Part of he'll reach out first when you do this, because this isn't a trick, it's transformation. Now let's keep it real for a second. Some of y'all keep asking, why hasn't he called me yet? Why hasn't he texted me? Because you're still checking for him. You can't manifest peace while stalking pain. You can't pray for closure with your phone in your hand, refreshing his profile. Sometimes God delays that message because you ain't healed enough to read it without falling back. Every time you replay the story, you relive the heartbreak. But every time you release the story, you rewrite your power. And when you start rewriting, the universe rearranges everything for you. That's when people who mishandled you start feeling uncomfortable because they can't recognize the healed version of you anymore. Ladies, here's the truth nobody told you. The same silence that scares you is the same silence that teaches him. It teaches him that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. It teaches him that your peace costs energy. It teaches him that losing you wasn't just losing a person, it was losing the calm after every storm. And when he realizes that, he starts replaying everything, every ignored text, every time he brushed off your feelings, every time he thought you'd never leave. And that's when the phone rings. That's when the, hey stranger, message shows up. But here's the difference now. You don't jump anymore. You smile, take a breath, and go right back to living. Because you finally learned that closure doesn't come from his apology. It comes from your acceptance. I've seen it too many times. A woman glows up, her energy changes, her standards rise, and the same man who couldn't show up suddenly wants to check in. Oh, now he's spiritual. Now he's reflective. Now he's talking about, I just needed time to grow. No, sir. You needed to lose her to recognize what you had. And ladies, I know it's tempting. I know that heart still remembers the laughter, the late night talks, the promises. But remember this, nostalgia is not love. It's just your memory putting filters on pain. Don't confuse missing the idea of him with missing the reality of him. The reality was you cried more than you laughed. You gave more than you received. You explained more than he listened. So when he comes back, don't see it as fate, see it as confirmation. Confirmation that your absence taught what your presence couldn't. You ever notice how peace makes you prettier? You sleep better, eat better, walk lighter. That's not makeup, that's freedom. And when he sees that glow, he starts remembering what it felt like to stand next to it. But the thing about a glow up is this, it's not for revenge, it's for renewal. You didn't become better to make him jealous. You became better because you finally realized you deserved joy without negotiation. So when he reaches out, take a moment before you respond. Ask yourself, am I answering from old wounds or from new wisdom? Because if it's from old wounds, you'll repeat the same cycle. But if it's from new wisdom, you'll thank him for the lesson and keep it pushing. And ladies, here's a secret. The man who truly loves you will never make you wonder. He won't disappear to test your loyalty. He won't play mind games to feel powerful. He'll communicate. He'll show up. He'll make you feel safe. The one who ghosts you just taught you the value of peace. The one who stays will teach you the meaning of partnership. Let me tell you what really makes a man come back: accountability, not yours, his. But he only finds it when you stop carrying his emotional homework, when you stop fixing what he keeps breaking, when you stop saving him from the consequences of his own behavior. You pull your energy back and suddenly life becomes his mirror. That's when reality hits him, when birthdays pass without your text, when his new situationship doesn't bring him peace, when he scrolls through old messages and realizes the love he lost was pure, not perfect but loyal. That's when the pride fades and the regret kicks in. And baby, regret is a loud teacher. Now, I'm not here to tell you every man who comes back deserves another chance. Some returns are just pop quizzes from the universe to make sure you learn the lessons. The real test isn't whether he reaches out, it's whether you've healed enough not to reach back. Because when you finally love yourself the way you used to love him, that's the end of the story. You become the peace he can't disturb. You become the chapter he can't reopen, and that's when you win. Let's talk energy. Energy don't lie. When you start saying, I'm good, and you mean it, life gets lighter. People who aren't aligned start falling off naturally. You stop chasing and start attracting, because peace is magnetic, purpose is magnetic, joy is magnetic. You don't chase what's meant for you. You prepare for it. That's why when you start healing, everything changes. Your walk, your talk, your standards, your circles. You stop settling for maybe when you deserve always. You stop over explaining to people committed to misunderstanding you. You start realizing that love without respect is chaos in disguise. And the next time someone tries to come back, you'll be able to smile and say, I appreciate you, but I'm not available for confusion anymore. That's grown woman energy. That's healed woman language. That's the kind of energy that commands respect without a single word. See, the lesson ain't about getting him back. The lesson is about getting you back. Your peace, your power, your confidence, your laughter. The woman you were before heartbreak plus the wisdom you earned after it. That version of you, she's unstoppable. When you truly step into that space, the world feels different. Doors open, opportunities come, people treat you differently because you treat yourself differently. You no longer beg for attention, you attract respect. You no longer wait for validation, you live in self-approval. And that vibration, it's impossible to ignore. That's why he'll reach out first, because energy speaks before words do. He'll feel the shift, he'll sense the distance, and it'll pull at him. But by the time he reaches out, you'll already be standing in a new chapter, a chapter where love is mutual, peace is permanent, and your heart is home. And if he never reaches out, that's fine too, because the goal was never to make him chase you. The goal was to remember you were never supposed to chase him. The goal was freedom, healing, and peace. So tonight, promise yourself something. You will never again lower your standards for temporary attention. You will never again confuse mixed signals for potential. You will never again sacrifice your peace for someone who can't meet you halfway. You're done chasing. You're done begging. You're done auditioning. From now on, you're walking in your worth. Because when you do that, when you truly embody that energy, that's when everything shifts. He'll reach out first. Life will reach out first. Opportunities will reach out first. Because you became the magnet, not the seeker. So keep your heart soft, your boundaries strong, and your peace protected. The right man won't need to be taught how to love you. He'll recognize your value and act accordingly. Until then, stay glowing, stay growing, and remember silence is not weakness. It's wisdom and progress. You ever notice how loud the world got? Man, it's like everybody's trying to prove something. Everybody got a microphone, a camera, an opinion, a comment, a clapback, a story to tell, but not everybody got peace. See, peace ain't something you can buy. You can't order it online. You can't download it. Peace is earned when you stop fighting battles that don't belong to you, when you stop explaining yourself to people who already made up their minds, when you stop auditioning for love that should have been free from the start, and that's when you realize silence ain't weakness. Silence is wisdom wrapped in calm. Silence is that power people mistake for distance, but it's really control. It's you saying, I don't need to prove I'm right to know I'm right. Because when peace becomes your priority, your whole energy shifts. You stop running toward noise. You start walking towards stillness. And that stillness, that quiet, that's where God talks. That's where your thoughts breathe. That's where your healing begins. See, when you silence the chaos, you can finally hear your purpose whisper. And when you hear that, no one can shake you. You ever had someone try to drag you into drama, like they throw bait, waiting for you to bite? And when you don't, they get mad, like, oh, you think you're better than me. No, I just think I'm tired of explaining, tired of defending, tired of proving, tired of arguing over things that don't grow me, tired of letting people rent space in my peace without paying rent. That's what silence does. It evicts what no longer deserves a home inside you. See, silence don't mean you weak. It means you mastered restraint. Anybody can pop off, anybody can yell, anybody can clap back. But it takes strength to stay quiet when disrespect comes knocking. It takes wisdom to realize not every reaction deserves your energy. Not every insult needs your answer. Not every situation requires your attendance. And when you start moving like that, people start to wonder what changed, like why you're not entertaining the foolishness anymore, and you just smile. Because the real ones know peace don't beg to be understood. Peace just exists quietly, powerfully, like air. You don't see it, but you feel it. There was a time in my life when I thought talking louder made me more right. I thought getting the last word meant I won. I thought making noise was proof of strength. But what I learned, and I learned it the hard way, is that silence is what separates the wise from the wounded. Silence is the space between reaction and reason. It's the pause that saves you from saying something you can't take back. It's that moment you choose growth instead of pride. That's what maturity sounds like. It don't sound like shouting. It sounds like peace. See, people who don't have peace, they crave attention. They want to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. But once you find peace, you stop chasing validation because you already feel full inside. You don't need to be loud to be noticed. Your calm becomes your presence. Your silence becomes your statement, and your energy speaks louder than your mouth ever could. Let me tell you something. When you stop arguing with fools, fools start arguing with themselves. When you stop chasing people, they start wondering why you're not chasing. When you stop reacting, they start rethinking. And that's the beauty of silence. It flips the power dynamic. It puts you in control without you lifting a finger. Because silence ain't absence. Silence is presence with purpose. It's stillness with strength. You ever notice how when you get quiet, people get uncomfortable? They start asking questions like, why are you so quiet? Because silence makes people look inward. It makes them sit with their own noise, and most people can't handle that because peace requires introspection, and introspection requires honesty, and honesty requires healing, and healing ain't easy. It's uncomfortable, it's quiet, it's long, it's lonely sometimes, but that's where transformation happens, in the quiet spaces where you face yourself. See, when you love peace, you stop forcing conversations that drain you. You stop chasing closure from people who never gave you clarity. You stop waiting for apologies that may never come, and you start forgiving silently, not for them, but for you, because peace is not found in their apology. Peace is found in your release. And the moment you release, silence becomes your superpower. There's a power in not responding, a power in walking away, a power in letting go, because silence don't mean you didn't notice. Silence means you noticed everything but decided your peace was more valuable. Silence is discipline disguised as indifference. It's control disguised as calm. It's knowing when to speak and when to let your energy speak for you. You ever had somebody expect you to explode, like they push and poke and test you, waiting for that reaction, and when you don't give it, they can't stand it because silence frustrates the manipulator, silence disarms the narcissist, silence exposes the insecure. Silence reveals truth without confrontation, because when you're silent, you give them nothing to work with, and they hate that, but you love it because it means you've evolved past their reach. People think peace is soft, but peace is gangster. Peace takes discipline. Peace takes walking away from something that used to have you hooked. Peace takes deleting the text instead of sending it. Peace takes smiling when you could snap. Peace takes breathing when you want to break. Peace takes walking alone when company costs your calm, and that's real power. See, silence don't mean you got nothing to say. It means you're wise enough to say it at the right time to the right person in the right way, because silence is not about muting yourself. It's about mastering yourself. It's about saying, I'll choose peace over proving my point. I'll choose calm over chaos. I'll choose me over the mess. And the moment peace becomes your priority, you start noticing what disturbs it. You start recognizing who disturbs it. And that's when boundaries become your best friend, because peace without boundaries is just a temporary vacation. But peace with boundaries is a permanent address. It's your home. It's your sanctuary. It's where you protect your soul. Sometimes the loudest answer you can give is silence, because silence confuses noise. It humbles arrogance. It frustrates manipulation. And it teaches you patience. You don't need to announce your healing. Just live it. You don't need to post your peace. Just protect it. It's because peace is not performative. It's personal. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you don't need to explain your evolution to those who haven't evolved yet. You'll notice something powerful too. When you get quiet, your circle changes, because not everyone can handle your peace. Some people only thrive in your chaos. They loved you loud, but they can't handle you calm, because your silence makes them irrelevant, and that's okay. Let them go. Peace don't chase. Peace attracts. Peace don't beg. Peace blesses. Peace don't prove. Peace provides. And when you reach that level, life is but simple, because your peace filters your choices, your silence protects your energy, and your growth guides your steps. There's a difference between isolation and elevation. Silence feels lonely at first, but that's because you're detaching from what's noisy. You're detoxing from what's draining, and you can't heal in the same environment that hurts you. So sometimes peace looks like solitude, and solitude looks like silence. But in that silence, you'll find yourself again, stronger, softer, wiser, and calmer. Silence also teaches you who's real, because when you stop talking, watch who stops showing up. When you stop explaining, watch who stops understanding. When you stop overgiving, watch who disappears. And that's your answer. Silence reveals truth without confrontation. That's its power. It speaks what words can't. When peace becomes your priority, you stop saying, I'm fine, when you're not, because peace is honesty, peace is alignment, peace is when your words, your thoughts, and your spirit all match, and silence gives them space to align, because you can't hear your soul if you're always talking over it. Some of y'all been praying for peace but entertaining chaos, asking for clarity but loving confusion, begging for healing but holding on to hurt. Peace requires discipline, and silence is that discipline in motion. It's you saying, I choose peace even if it costs me people. I choose peace even if it costs me ego. I choose peace even if it means I walk alone. Because when peace becomes your priority, you stop explaining your silence. You stop apologizing for your absence. You stop justifying your boundaries. You just exist differently. And people feel it. They don't always understand it, but they feel it, and that's enough. Silence is your sanctuary. Peace is your weapon. And together they make you untouchable, because a person who don't need to be heard to be sure, who don't need to be seen to be confident, who don't need to argue to know their worth, that person is powerful beyond measure. And that's why silence is power when peace becomes your priority, because once you taste peace, chaos loses flavor. Once you feel calm, conflict feels cheap. Once you find quiet, noise feels foreign. And once you understand silence, you don't fear solitude anymore, because solitude becomes sacred and peace becomes permanent.